digital identity is completely compromised right now, and a hidden three-digit number secretly dictates your entire destiny. You proudly protect this arbitrary mathematical score every single day, genuinely believing it proves your absolute financial responsibility. In reality, it proves nothing but your complete, unwavering obedience to a predatory system. The global financial matrix is shifting violently as we speak, and the window to escape this digital cage is closing rapidly. Advanced algorithms are actively weaponizing your credit profile to permanently lock you into the middle class. If you ignore this clinical reality today, you will voluntarily hand over your family's generational equity to Wall Street. Massive commercial banks employ thousands of behavioral psychologists to actively suppress the truth about this extraction framework. Today, we ruthlessly expose the darkest secret of modern lending. You will finally understand why protecting this arbitrary metric guarantees your poverty. Do not close this video under any circumstances. Closing this video ensures you remain a highly profitable, obedient corporate hostage. Stay here, face the painful truth, and master the ultimate escape protocol before the system drains your future entirely. The illusion of financial trust. Society sold you a beautiful, highly profitable lie since the day you opened your first bank account. You were conditioned to aggressively build a pristine financial credit profile, eagerly opening multiple high-interest accounts just to prove your worth to the system. You diligently pay your minimum monthly balances, constantly checking your digital score on your smartphone, feeling a massive rush of cheap dopamine when that meaningless number goes up. You genuinely believe the global banking system finally trusts you. You feel like a highly successful, responsible, modern adult. This is a catastrophic, completely engineered mathematical illusion. The banking system absolutely does not trust you, because trust is a human emotion reserved for biological families. Banks are cold, calculating, emotionless profit extraction machines. They do not care about your personal character, your work ethic, or your moral compass. They only care about predicting your future monthly cash flow with absolute mathematical certainty. They built a massive psychological game designed specifically for your ego, and you play their rigged game with absolute, unquestioning dedication. You are a perfectly domesticated, highly obedient consumer who has voluntarily locked yourself inside the perfect financial cage. This cage has invisible bars made entirely of debt, and you spend your entire life polishing those invisible bars with your pride. You traded your actual sovereign freedom for a synthetic illusion of trust that holds absolutely zero value in the free market. True financial trust is holding massive, independent, cash-flowing equity. Your pristine score is nothing more than a digital leash, and the corporate master holds the other end tightly. They algorithmically dictate what neighborhood you can easily live in, what kind of vehicle you can finance, and they even dictate your professional career. Human resources departments constantly check your invisible corporate score before hiring you, trapping you completely in an algorithmic web that you proudly defend. You must wake up from this deep anesthesia. This massive psychological blind spot compounds against you daily. Social media algorithms actively hide this exact truth. Ignore this and become completely financially obsolete tomorrow. Examine your toxic financial behavior right now immediately. What does your score really mean? Let us clinically expose the dark reality of what this three-digit number actually measures. It absolutely does not measure your actual, tangible wealth. It does not measure your total liquid assets. It completely ignores your independent cash-flowing digital businesses. And it completely ignores the cold, hard cash sitting securely in your private vault. A multimillionaire with zero debt and massive real estate equity literally has no score. Meanwhile, a completely broke corporate employee drowning in massive consumer debt but making minimum payments achieves absolute perfection. This mathematically proves that the entire global financial system is upside down. It proves to Wall Street that you will reliably hand over the fruits of your physical and mental labor every single month without rebelling. You eagerly trade your finite human energy away to finance depreciating luxury cars for 5 years, and you take on massive 30-year residential mortgages with absolute pride. You are the ultimate, highly predictable corporate product. Wall Street aggressively monetizes your obedience by bundling your personal loans into complex financial instruments and selling your predictable compliance to global investors. Your high score simply makes your debt a highly valuable asset for them. You get absolutely nothing from this massive, multi-billion-dollar transaction except the pathetic privilege of borrowing more expensive money. You get official permission to dig a much deeper hole, and you actually celebrate getting approved for a higher consumer credit limit. This is absolute, terrifying, clinical financial insanity. You are throwing a party for your own permanent economic slavery, bragging about a credit limit that is essentially a loaded financial weapon aimed directly at your future. The Matrix inverted your fundamental logic so completely that you now believe massive liabilities are actually great assets. Pay extreme attention right now immediately to this. The mathematical cost of your obedience compounds daily. This exact mechanism is draining your equity today. You must calculate your true biological financial fee. How the matrix demands obedience. The financial matrix demands your absolute, silent obedience, and they weaponize this specific digital metric to enforce strict compliance across the population. If you miss one single payment, the system attacks you violently. Your pristine 3-digit score drops immediately, and your primitive biological amygdala triggers massive, sudden panic. You feel an intense, crushing wave of social and financial shame, genuinely feeling like a complete failure in life. This psychological punishment is highly engineered and deeply intentional. They trained you since you were a young child in the public education system to deeply fear the bad grade on your report card. Your credit score is just an adult report card, tapping directly into your deep, unresolved childhood trauma. You are absolutely terrified of failing their corporate test, and this primal fear keeps you trapped completely forever. You willingly stay in a toxic, abusive corporate job and endure a terrible boss purely to ensure you can make your minimum monthly payments. You never take massive, terrifying entrepreneurial market risks, and you never aggressively challenge the established global hierarchy, because a bad score directly threatens your comfortable, heavily financed digital lifestyle. Matrix uses your own internal biological fear as the locks, and your extreme predictability as the heavy iron chains. You aggressively police yourself so the system always wins, acting as your own strictest, most brutal warden. You desperately protect the very system destroying your wealth, violently attacking anyone who questions the validity of the credit system. You loudly defend the massive commercial banks exploiting you in the comment sections of the internet. This is pure, clinical, absolute financial Stockholm syndrome. You fell deeply in love with your corporate captors, begging them for slightly lower interest rates and tiny, meaningless digital reward points. They throw you microscopic crumbs of fake wealth, and you accept those digital crumbs with absolute gratitude, operating exactly like a trained animal performing tricks to receive a small treat. The ultimate trick, of course, is surrendering your entire financial sovereignty. The biological trap of good debt. We must ruthlessly expose the dangerous, widely accepted myth of good debt. Financial advisors constantly preach about building good debt, instructing the middle class to leverage loans for personal growth. This is a massive, devastating trap for the poor and highly profitable advice for the banking elite. Good debt is a completely synthetic corporate concept designed to keep you borrowing. In biological reality, debt is always a heavy, dangerous, suffocating burden. It chronically spikes your daily cortisol and stress levels, silently draining your creative and physical energy while you sleep. You convince yourself you are building massive credit, but you are actually building massive institutional corporate leverage. Your fragile human ego becomes deeply attached to the concept of debt because you use borrowed money to buy synthetic status. You finance incredibly expensive designer clothes to impress broke strangers, and you finance luxury international vacations just to create fake digital memories for your social media profiles. Your high score enables this toxic, highly destructive biological behavior, causing you to mathematically equate your borrowing power with your actual self-worth. If the bank approves you for the loan, you biologically feel valuable to the tribe. This biological trap mathematically guarantees your permanent, inescapable poverty. You are literally spending future time that you do not possess, stealing directly and violently from your older self. Your future self will be physically exhausted, mentally drained, and completely broke, spending their supposed retirement years paying off the compound interest of your youthful vanity. You traded generational sovereignty for a piece of shiny plastic. The commercial banks absolutely love your massive, unchecked ego because your fragile pride is their most valuable liquid asset. You actually think you are hacking the credit system, loudly bragging about your airport lounge access passes and your free luxury hotel room upgrades, completely ignoring the fact that you spent thousands of dollars in hidden interest fees just for a free cup of coffee. The math is completely, brutally rigged against you, and the house absolutely always wins in the end. We must expose the system's darkest secret today. The financial elite weaponize this exact behavior daily. Adopt this specific rule today or stay broke. Weaponize your daily actions right now without hesitation. How Wall Street monetizes your behavior. Wall Street algorithms deeply and profoundly love your predictable, blind obedience. They map your exact biological spending behavior perfectly, employing thousands of advanced behavioral psychologists who engineered the modern credit system flawlessly. They offer you instant gratification through easy, zero-friction debt. You eagerly swipe your shiny card to feel important, experiencing a massive rush of cheap dopamine, while they charge you 25% compounding interest instantly. You are voluntarily funding their massive institutional leverage automatically, gladly paying commercial banks a high premium fee to soothe your fragile social insecurities. They take your massive monthly interest payments and use your hard-earned money to acquire real, tangible, world-class assets. They aggressively buy the massive apartment buildings where you currently rent your home. They buy massive ownership stakes in the corporate companies you obediently serve. And they buy the physical land your entire life is built upon. Your intense, blind arrogance directly funds their massive generational empires. You are a biological, breathing battery generating massive wealth for the elite. Wall Street aggressively extracts this wealth through your obedience, knowing that as long as you remain incredibly proud and desperately need credit, you permanently lose the financial game. The global financial system requires your constant, desperate social insecurity to function. A truly financially secure individual does not need commercial credit. They buy cash-flowing assets with cold, hard, untraceable cash, completely bypassing the rigged corporate credit system entirely. They absolutely refuse to play the banker's game because they know the rules are rigged. But you are incredibly profitable to the global system. They need you to keep swiping your card so they can securitize your car loan for massive profit and sell your 30-year mortgage to massive global pension funds. You are the raw material powering the economy, the exact product being bought and sold on the open market daily. Stop behaving like a predictable piece of inventory and start acting like the sovereign owner you were meant to be. A framework to escape the numbers. You must aggressively destroy your digital delusion today and violently shatter the perfect invisible cage you built for yourself. Stop worshiping a completely fake, engineered mathematical metric designed by corporations to track your compliance. Realize right now that your pristine high credit score is a massive liability that simply proves you are a highly profitable, perfectly obedient slave. You must drastically and permanently change your entire financial psychology to escape. First, completely freeze your pathetic reliance on consumer debt immediately. Cut up your high-interest credit cards right now and stop financing depreciating luxury items just to look rich to people you actively despise. Force yourself to use physical cash for your daily discretionary spending so you can feel the brutal biological pain of losing real, tangible resources. Second, completely disconnect your personal identity from your borrowing power. Your actual human worth is absolutely not your corporate credit limit. Your true worth is your independent, cash-flowing equity. Third, aggressively deploy your retained capital into real digital assets, broad index funds, and cash-flowing real estate. Build a massive, impenetrable fortress of absolute, untouchable financial sovereignty. The elite absolutely do not care about their three-digit scores. They care about massive, automated daily cash flow, using their own massive capital reserves to build leverage without ever begging banks for permission. Take radical, dictatorial ownership of your financial destiny today. This requires immense, terrifying psychological strength to execute flawlessly. Let your broke friends laugh at your choices, because their mocking laughter means absolutely nothing to compounding mathematics. You must aggressively starve the predatory banking system, denying them the monthly interest payments they desperately crave. Retain your capital, starve the beast, and build your own untouchable empire. The elite actively suppress this specific psychological truth because they desperately need you to remain a compliant consumer. Subscribe right now to join the elite sovereign minority and master the 1% money mindset today. Stop playing the rigged game they designed perfectly to destroy you. Master your mind before the system drains your future. Build your fortress of absolute sovereign financial power today. See you in the next elite financial protocol.